Stu, we're doing some inner child work today, aren't we?
We're going to be talking about it. Inner child work really encompasses so many different exercises and approaches.
When does one know, hey, listen, I should move on from the things that I'm doing for myself, and I should seek an expert like yourself to allow me to get to allow me to progress further in my inner child work?
If a certain amount of time elapses and you're not seeing results, why not try something different? Why not bring somebody else into your mental world?
Today, Stevie punched me in the face. I didn't want to do that.
There is actually a part of our brain that in the repetition and you seeing something over and over again, right, that you put out there, it causes your brain to like only see that or attract that thing.
It took me like years to finally get myself to consistently journal. But once I did, it was amazing. I don't even know if I would have started had I not had my own coach.
Being put into a box as an athlete in high school, like the way for me to, succeed is for me to be this super athlete.
I'm gonna go yay, right?
For the record, ladies
Conflict.
and gentlemen, first conflict in the yay or nay segment of the show.
Good Life Show does not endorse the response of Mr. Mouzon over there. He stands on an island by himself. To all our female listeners, we do not endorse this response.
If you can't calm yourself down, how can you visualize the different pathways ahead of you?
Get out my brain. No.
I'm a coach, bro. That's what I do.
Welcome to the Good Life.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast. I got Stu here. Say what's up, Stu.
What's up, y'all?
Also got Kobi. I forgot.
Oh, yeah. I'm here, guys. I'm here. What up, dude? Yep.
For some
That's
reason,
right. That's right.
Who's the other guy on the screen?
I was like, who's that other guy? No, Kobi's in the building. Glad you're here, brother.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And again, I'm Chris, guys, and we're back diving into another episode of how to design your life with extraordinary health, wealth, and mindset. As always, find us wherever you listen and watch. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share this with a friend because we got another good one for you today. Stu, we're doing some inner child work today, aren't we?
We're going to be talking about it. And I'll walk you through how, one, it's significant, two, what it can really do for you, and three, how to kind of do some of this on your own and get started with this process. That is what we're going to dive into today. But first, we're going to do the client takeaways. So that's something we started last week, and love being able to share these victories, especially over a beat. Let's go. I'll let somebody else wrap it out over that one. Who wants to start with a client victory?
I'll jump in. I'll take it away. Always good talking to people about money. And again, I'll keep telling you guys this for this entire month. April is Financial Literacy Month. So a lot of people having a lot of conversations, sitting down with a lot of people. The takeaway and what has resonated over this past week, I probably sat down with 2 or 3 people that really, I remember last time I talked about organization. This time, really what it was an awareness of money, right? Not just the organization part, but the common theme was people weren't aware of how much was going to certain places, like just very basic things around money, right? And it's the awareness of looking at your money. Sometimes when we automate things, right? When we automate things, it's out of sight, out of mind, and it doesn't allow us to really pay attention to the things that are happening or right, our emotions around that money. And so that's what I noticed with a few different clients this week. But that was a big win for all of them as well, because they all got ahas about their spending once they became more aware and actually dove into their numbers and looked at their bank account. So that was a lesson. That's a big takeaway for everybody. Become more aware of your numbers. Become more aware of your money. It's going to help.
Love that, Chris. Love that. Awareness is the first step. For the CTM family, for us, one thing I've noticed across the board with each and every client is, and I'm super proud of, is them locking in on the number one key with health, with wealth, with anything in life, I believe. And I'm getting texts like, man, listen, it's all about consistency. I'm starting to feel that. I'm trying to see that. Or I've been up and down in the past, but now I'm really locked in. And even if it's a little bit a day, I'm really attacking it. And it's made a huge difference. So consistency is key. That's something we've seen across the family, and something I'll pass on to you as well. Consistency is, if you have nothing else, have consistency. So.
That's good, man. That's good.
Amen. Consistency and awareness, two powerful ones. I think those both apply to like the whole entrepreneurial journey of like understanding finances and just kind of growing as a business owner big time. So glad you guys shared those. For me on my end, I've had a couple of clients this week kind of identify that they think their problem is a lack of decision. And they think that the reason behind this is, some type of mindset thing, like a very like logical layer. And what's interesting, and it queued up well for this week with the inner child work piece, is oftentimes there's a lot of like emotional things that are kind of coming up and blocking somebody from being able to make decisions. If you're not able to make a decision because you have a tough time getting in the present moment, calming down your nervous system, and being able to actually understand your emotions, if you can't calm yourself down, how can you visualize the different pathways ahead of you? So I think for me, it was just this interesting series of realizations that maybe there's something deeper that I should be focusing on rather than just trying to force myself into a decision. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good.
So I think that really ties to today's topic. So first of all, with inner child work, I want to go ahead and just address what is inner child work. So for those of you that don't know, as Kobi and I were chatting about before we hopped on this live, there are a lot of big buzzwords in the coaching atmosphere, really in all different types of industries. Inner child work really encompasses so many different exercises and approaches. The way I like to look at it is, with each and every one of us, we are a conditioned human being. We have been trained by society, by events in our lives, by our parents, by different, environmental, community factors, narratives, etc. And at some point in time, we weren't conditioned. At some point in time, we were just a playful kid that would walk up to a dog or walk up to a person, just have like no fear in the world, just literally going out there and playing and dreaming, being very intuitive, very emotional. And we often, especially as men, we stop and we get caught up on like, we have to be a certain way. So inner child work for me is getting back to your emotional core. So this is extremely significant because I think a massive thing that's missing from the personal development sphere, as well as the medical community, is understanding the emotional body and how that affects your physical health, as well as just your overall comfort in life. Are you happy with the track you're on? So I think inner child work is particularly useful for those who are struggling with stress management, for those who are struggling with emotional intelligence, alleviating migraines and some symptoms for some common disease, as well as just like learning how to focus and listen, especially if you're not really sure about what decision to make in life. Like understanding your emotional core and how to take care of that and find that comfort is a really big part. Finally, what can you actually do to heal your inner child? This is extremely important because you don't always need a coach to get started on this stuff. Coaching is a luxury item that allows you to get to where you want to go way faster. But if that is not on the table for you right now, some things you can do. You can go for walks with your inner child. That may sound like you taking yourself for a walk as you have a tumultuous kind of inner dialogue going on, encouraging yourself to just speak to yourself as you would a child. So for those of you with a harsh inner critic, that's a really good exercise. Find creative and movement outlets where you can play and relax and really just show your weirdness. Why are you continuously bottling yourself up? What are you afraid of? Allow yourself to let out your emotion. This could be crying, yelling, throwing a tantrum in solitude, or just doing it around someone that you deeply trust and have intimate company. A lot of times as men, we are not allowed to experience our emotions. Allowing yourself to just let it out from time to time in some type of cathartic release through the body. Man, it is amazing what can happen. I've had adult men come back to me after going and doing this, and just all of this shame has been lifted off them as they just let out years of different types of like emotional abuse or things that they've done to themselves or talked about with themselves. So highly recommend finding a way to let it out through your body. And then finally, if you want to find a coach for that, there are specialists that are therapists that deal with trauma. There are coaches that deal with trauma. I've done a lot of this work with myself through coaching and me receiving coaching, but I've also done it with a lot of my clients. So I'm happy to answer any type of questions, but there are some things you can do on your own first. So fellas, I've talked a little bit about what it is, why to do it, how to do it. Curious, what are some of your thoughts, reflections, questions around inner child work?
Oh, it's awesome, bro. Awesome. So first of all, shout out my guy Air Doovy. Good to see you on here. For those of you that are listening on podcasts or watching on YouTube, you can join us live on Wednesdays as we record on Instagram. And you can find all our Instagrams here at a little bubble here on the bottom left corner. You already know. Just had to throw in my Lil Wayne right there real quick. But I love a lot of what you're saying, man, and I appreciate the framework that you put it in, because if I have to be honest, man, sometimes when I'm on Instagram and I hear inner child work, the packaging that it comes in, I'm like, I'm good. I'm not a female and I'm not blonde. I'm good. Right? Might not be for me, people in my body, we don't do that. Right. So I appreciate the packaging that you put it in. You mentioned a few things that really resonated with me, like coaching is a luxury. There are a few things you can do on your own. It shows the heart that you're coming to this work with, and that you're willing to give and give value rather than just saying, hey, look, come pay me to show you. Let me show you a few things that you can do right off the bat. So appreciate you for that. The piece that resonated with me and probably applies to me in my life is finding two things. One, finding ways to play and relax. I like that quite a bit, and letting out emotions, right? And different ways of letting out emotions. So that's what I'm taking from what you just stated right there. Maybe you should have saved that for the last end right there, but got to give it to them right off the top. So my question for you is, ideally, when does one know, hey, listen, I should move on from the things that I'm doing for myself, and I should seek an expert like yourself to allow me to get to allow me to progress further in my inner child work?
Love that question. And I love that question because so many of people that come to work with me have spent months or years of their lives trying to make a shift. And I think that if you have put in the time to listen to the podcasts, to check out the audiobooks, to try some different exercises, do some guided meditations, mess around with journaling, if you have taken the time and tried so hard to not only just execute on these, because I'll be the first one to admit, it took me like years to finally get myself to consistently journal. But once I did, it was amazing. I don't even know if I would have started had I not had my own coach. But I think if a certain amount of time elapses and you're not seeing results, why not try something different? Why not bring somebody else into your mental world? It's a very scary thing to do, I think, stereotypically as a man, especially because we are not supposed to let people in. We are supposed to be the stoic warrior protector of the household. But wouldn't you rather be able to take care of yourself? Could you let in a professional? Could you let in a confidant? Maybe it doesn't have to be your partner or your kids. Maybe you do want to protect them from some things so you still feel that leadership role. That's a choice every man has to make for himself. But I think if you allow somebody else to come in and experience your world because you've tried to do it on your own, take that pride away. Open it up.
Thank you, brother.
Quick, we got a question over here from Air Dewey that I would love to address real quick.
Sure. What you got on there, Air Dewey?
Go for it.
What does my journaling process look like? So I love this question because a lot of the reason why I journal is because I have some type of like tumultuous storm of thought and emotion going on. And for whatever reason, it's not passing. So what I do is I free write. I will simply just write down whatever it is that's happening for me. Sometimes I'll do a gratitude journal, but that hasn't really resonated with me as much. So I will simply title it afternoon, morning, evening journal, put the date, and then I'll just start writing. If I have a writer's block and I can't actually figure out where do I want to tie this storm down and start writing, I'll just write the words like, what is actually going on in my head? Why can I not write anything? And you would be surprised how all of a sudden you begin to just let it out. So it really, you can become your own therapist and coach just by doing some things like that.
Man, if I may share my process for that, all right. And Stu, I don't know if it's going to alter what you're saying at all, but he also asked in terms of this inner child work specifically. So if is there anything you want to add along those lines before I share?
Yeah, I think if I were to make it specific to a certain modality of healing that I'm trying to do, awareness of the inner workings is a big piece of that. But I simply target, okay, I am living this life. I have been conditioned in these ways. What about my past and childhood maybe I made some assumptions about who I am and how I'm supposed to operate. What things am I doing that I don't feel comfortable with? What things do I do that I don't really want to be doing? And then I begin to just kind of write out like past experiences. Like I wonder what could have been some things that I made an assumption because this happened to me when I was 12 and I decided at 12-year-old logic that I was going to act like this for the rest of my life. So I think specifically tying it to your past and events that really stick out in your mind as a negatively charged one, targeting those and figuring out what stories you came up with after the fact that happened.
Could those be associated? And so I'm hugging the time here, but I got a lot of questions. Could those be associated with positive things as well? Like, deciding, hey, listen, I think of maybe, for example, like being put into a box as an athlete in high school. Like the way for me to, succeed is for me to be this super athlete, and I can't do anything else, for example. Just an example.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I think another one would be like if you look back on your timeline and there was something that really great that happened, and all of a sudden you built up this really big ego and you're afraid to let go of that ego. That's a really positive event that maybe has some negative consequences. So you're right. It could be a positive one too. Good call.
That. And Chris, I want to let you in here before I share anything journaling because my hog got another 5 minutes. You feel me?
No, go for it because the journaling topic is such an important thing to talk about, right? And especially right as people have questions about it because it is a process for a lot of people. So share away, bro. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. And for those of you who hear this and maybe it intrigues you, I actually do have a free program on my app that you can join, a 7-day journaling process that help you create this. And I should probably let people know about that a little bit more often because it is free and it is super powerful.
Should. Yeah, you probably should. Just throw that out there. Like, oh yeah, by the way, I should probably help.
Yeah, I should probably help.
This could absolutely help you.
It's part of my free 2 weeks reset. And it's a mental, spiritual, and physical reset that I created for folks. And you can get it for free in the app. You can message me if you like. But I use it a little differently in that I have a little structure. And I like the repetition. I discovered that I like the repetition for my mind. I use it as kind of visualization, as kind of like repeating certain things that I want to create in my life, right? So I start off by something I'm thankful for. And it's a one-liner. And, so let me read something here. It's like, today I'm thankful for, and I put, what it is for today. And I put my life in this particular example. And then I say, today I'm being a certain way. Like, what is the way I'm being today? And it was today I'm being the possibility of freedom. Right. And then I have a mission statement that I run with for the year, and I rewrite that. What is that mission statement? And so my mission statement is, I was brought here by my creator for the purpose of healing souls, by practicing the principles of giving, loving, and coaching, right? And then I go into the vision for the year. So vision for 2022 is my vision 2022. I strive to align with my purpose of healing souls with passion, excellence, and pure joy. Then I go into like affirmations that I've created for myself. And I'm not going to read all of them, but I have like a bunch of affirmations and I just repeat them to make them, real. then I remind myself of the roles that are important for me in my life, right? So, being of service to others, being a co-creator, being a partner, being a son, a brother, community builder, a holistic healer, and a real estate investor. And I guess that's what I had at that time. So, and then I stick my kind of like current goals right there. I rewrite those, and then I do like a free write, where I say what is on my mind right now. Then I remind myself of like what is the mastering the day process look like for me. What are the three things that I must do today to align with all those goals that I have established? And then if I have any time left, I jot down some more free write. So I repeat this structure, right? And I've been doing a little less recently, but I repeat this structure consistently, and there's a direct result in my life of like how often I go back to this process, and things that I'm able to manifest. And it's fantastic, man. I really love the repetition. It kind of almost like creates it in a sense, right? So, I try to do that's my journaling process, and one that I kind of pieced together over the years.
I love that, man. I think the fact that you're going through the same thing. I mean, we already touched on awareness and consistency, and journaling provides both of those things, especially when you take it to that level of structure. Looks like it resonated with Airdoobie quite a bit as well. Um, you said you've developed that over the years. Um, what do you think is your like favorite part of that process? I know they all have different meanings, but for someone just starting off that may not be ready for all that structure, what do you think might be a good starting point for them?
Start with whichever one of those resonates with you the most. So I
Fair
think I
answer.
started with gratitude, because it was one line. It was easy. It was literally, I know today I'm thankful for my left toe, and then keep it moving, right? And then I moved on to a mission statement. And I spent some weeks constructing my mission statement. Then I moved on to like my values, principles, and vision, right? And again, there's a set of videos that I've created that walks you through that process. So you create it over a period of time, and has that process set up in a span of 7 days, and then you repeat it in the next 7 days to get it ingrained, and then you roll with it. It's actually I get it's part of my coaching process. When I say gut, breath, and movement, to me the gut piece also starts with not just literally uh, juice feasting, but also part of that is journaling, right? Part of that is creating this for yourself, creating a mindset for yourself. So we go through that in the first month or so.
That's dope. Stu, quick question on journaling, man. Since we're on the topic, how often do you see people that come to you already start like they're already journaling, and how much do you see people? How much does it affect people once you implement that for them or help them implement that?
It is extremely rare that somebody comes to me, and they've already been journaling consistently. I think some people may have like tried it once or twice and wrote it off. I think the most powerful thing that just seems to be a theme for today is journal consistently. It's just like going to the gym or anything else. You can't just have one healthy meal or one gym workout and expect to see results. This will literally change your life. You've got a testimonial from me, and you've got a testimony from Kobi right now. Um, After people have started journaling, anxiety drops so far down. You are able to experience the present moment, because whatever storm, chaos, cloud, electron cloud, however you want to think about, just ravenous thoughts, if you put them down onto paper, you can see and understand them, and there's such a soothing process. And I like the fact that for me, I use journaling as much more of like a self-soothing thing. And I like to just maintain fluidity in how I go about my goals elsewhere. Kabi has a very different method for journaling. And either way, you like I really implore it to everybody, like try and find a method that works for you, because this has been by far the most soothing practice for me. And when I write down, like I have a classically trained engineering background. I did not believe in manifestation or the universe or spirituality at all. But as soon as I started writing these things down, whether it's the placebo effect or just the fact that I've written it down and I'm going to notice it in real life more, or if it's the universe, I don't care. shit happens that you want to have happen when you journal about it.
Yep, I believe 1,000%. Right. I feel like I heard this somewhere. I don't remember where. There is actually a part of our brain that, in the repetition and you seeing something over and over again, right, that you put out there, it causes your brain to like only see that or attract that thing, like the reticular activating system or something like that. Some part of our brain that does that. But that's why, again, this process of journaling is so important. And I'm glad to stay here. I know we're talking inner child work. But like this is just important because it's something that I've dabbled and never been consistent in, is journaling, right? I've never been consistent in slowing down and writing, yet I've always wanted to find ways to get my thoughts out. So I have it in a form of like notes, right? I take a lot of notes, but I don't actually like sit with myself and journal in the way that could be laid out, which, by the way, bro, is like that's how long did it take you to come to that process? Because it was very detailed, but it covered a lot. How long did it take you?
Honestly, it's through I guess probably like 2 years or so of, I started journaling way different. I started journaling with free thought, and I wanted something a little bit more grounded in that sense for me, like something that like would bring me back to the same place, kind of like the dreidel in the whatever
Inception.
that movie is. Inception. I always forget that movie, man. But yeah, dreidel.
We got to incept it into you. Then
yeah. No. Get out of my brain. No.
I'm a coach, bro. That's what I do.
So yeah, it took me a while to get to this point, and I think it's going to even continue to evolve next year and the year after and the year after as I grow as an individual. But there's certain parts of it that I'm going to keep for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's solid. I've always started with free thought, right? Like that's how I've always thought of journaling. And maybe that's why I wasn't always the most consistent. Maybe I do need something structured. So I think that right there, that nugget is probably going to help a lot of people that are even listening, right? That like are trying to get into the practice of journaling, because again, we see all the benefits of it. So yeah, you just got to implement, right? You got to be able to have a structure or something that allows you to put it in place in your life.
Yeah. I will say this. I definitely agree with Stu. I think you got to find something that works for you. Free write did not work for me for a long time because I would just sit there at times, right? I would just like find myself just sitting there and I would feel kind of silly. I'd feel like, in my head, for my personality, I kind of made a distinction in my brain between diary and journaling, right? Whether true or not, I mean, that's what was happening in my head. And I didn't really want to keep a diary because I didn't want to like just tell the diary what was going on in my life. And today, Stevie punched me in the face. I didn't want to do that, right?
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So if that resonates with you and that's how your brain works, having something that I could almost just like literally just almost like go into a meditative state and like kind of like a monk copy, like, yeah, I'm thinking because I still got to fill in certain things, but I like being able to like monk copy it. Like it looks a particular way on the page. So the format looks a particular way on the page. So it's so soothing for me to like almost like calligraphy it, right? So I almost like go through and I'm like really paying attention to the handwriting because my handwriting is terrible. But I could tell days when I was really in flow and days that I wasn't, just in how much I paid attention to my handwriting. And it's a total different experience when I was and I'm looking through it right now when I was really really paying attention versus days when I was like kind of speeding through. You can see the structure. By the way, I also realized my wife got me a new one, and I should bust that open soon.
Might be a good idea.
What I love about that so much is it reminds me of like a gym workout. Like, when you're really on it, like your gym workout is like, or whatever workout, doesn't have to be in the gym. It's just so clean. And then the days when you're like, you know what, I just got to drag myself to this thing because I said I was going to do it. It might be kind of sloppy that day, but at least you still did it. You maintained that consistency.
I love that example.
Yeah, bro, I love analogies. And when it comes to like the different experiences that we're all having when it comes to journaling, both of you guys have inherently been more like kind of like structured individuals than me. We've identified this before. I think it's funny that our journaling kind of reflects that.
Facts,
Well,
Yeah.
facts.
yeah.
I almost, as you were talking about the sports piece, I almost like saw like basketball warm-ups or free throw routine or something like that. For any sports, even like if you're running track, you go through a particular warm-up, right? It always when you go through that warm-up, it's kind of like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gearing up, or yeah, that was a great analogy, and yeah, it's funny that it reflects. Yeah, the patterns, man, the patterns.
The patterns. Yeah, because for me, I'm a very I hate rules. I hate being told what to do. I'm a very intuitive problem solver on the spot. So for me, like having my journaling reflect that, it feels like just like my soul showing up on paper. And Chris, Mr. Consistency. I
Yeah.
love how this is something that just hasn't really stuck. I think you may find a lot more power in it if you're handwriting it. There's something different about it. I've tried doing it on a computer. It doesn't like tie the body to it. I don't know how to describe it.
I would agree with that 100%.
You're probably right. You're probably right, because I've felt the difference when I used to take notes in, right. I mean, we didn't always use this technology. You know what I mean? Like I could think back 5, 6 years ago, everything was in a journal or in a notebook or right legal pad. I still do have legal pads on my desk. Could be you had mentioned something in the
Yeah,
picture I
like
took,
goodness.
right? I got legal pads around.
Yeah, how your clients doing, lawyer?
Right? Hey, listen, that used to be my notepads like every day, just constantly jotting. So I understand there is a connection. There's like a physical connection between like, writing something down in your brain. Um, but yeah, just having put it together on the journaling side. I think it's something I want to implement though, for sure.
And bro, I know you're a man of faith, and your devotion, right? You don't skip those. This is a pretty easy thing to habit stack with that, right? So that's
That's
where
good.
I would, because maybe your structure is you do devotion. That's actually, when I think about it, that's actually where my journaling started, was in as a child in church and
Mm,
youth group.
that makes sense.
We would do our daily reading and then write about it. That's where I started journaling. Now that I think about it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm actually going to implement that like ASAP. See, this is what you do on
Hey,
this is what you do on the good life though, right? Like this is it. Like you get information, you implement, right? Like you apply it to your life. If it's good, it's going to take you to where you need to go. You got to apply it right away. It's something, again, I appreciate you guys, because I'm going to implement that like tomorrow. So
for sure. That's great to hear,
That's
bro.
right.
Pew, 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 pew,
So
God, we
I
sound like such
want
old heads.
pew.
do we? I don't know. I kind of feel
My
like I
siblings
get
would think
younger and
so.
younger every time I make these noises. This is that creative free play and that inner child shit we were talking about. Right
Let
here.
her rip. Let her rip.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Let people see you're weird, man. That's what's up.
Like it.
Chris, I feel like that was a pause moment. I think you missed.
No.
Was he thinking
Move
about
on.
it?
Play.
I wasn't
Play.
thinking
Oh,
about
okay.
it, but
Play.
I'm glad it's rubbing off. I'm glad it's rubbing off.
Play.
Pause.
Play.
All right, moving forward here. So
Oh, God.
to tie it back to answer Air Doobie's question, if you are hoping to understand inner child work, I would do a similar thing to what Kobi just mentioned, where if you are doing a lot of reading and research on the inner child, I would definitely go and write down your reflections and thoughts on what you're finding. I would write down specific things that give you a light bulb, any memories that are triggered, and I would keep this somewhere so you can reference it if you ever do end up working with a professional. That may save you some time in pulling that stuff out. Finally, any type of there's so many different exercises, some of which I mentioned at the beginning. Write down how you may go about those and then go try them. When you write it down, it's going to help you visualize what that's going to look like for you. So from here, anything else on the open discussion end before we jump into yay or nay?
Nah, bro. Let's do some yay or nay.
Let's do
Yay
it.
or nay.
All right. So yay or nay, understanding your emotional core can help your physical health.
All right, I got this one. Yay!
Woo! Why is that, sir?
You guys know I believe in the inside out process. You can go, there's a lot of things we can't control externally, but when we go internally, we have a lot more buttons that we can push. And I just think it's been true in my life. It's been true in my work with clients. And there's absolutely a direct connection with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that and go with yay. Again, it was actually something that I wanted you to go into a bit more, Stu, which is the emotional core, but obviously understanding how trauma is stored in the body, how emotions affect our body, just understanding those principles. Obviously, you would know that your emotional core is going to affect your physical nature. It's going to affect, right, how you move and things of that nature. So it's definitely a yay, but I would want you to go deeper into it. That emotional core. I think it's a term that we don't hear a lot that we can dive into.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know I know this is yay or nay though, but whatever. We'll give it a minute.
yeah, I'll do a quick tangent into that. So when I think of the term emotional core, I think of literally that, like that inner child. If you guys have seen the visual where we have the adult body and then we have like this child presence within us, I think so much of our emotional core is affected by the experiences we have as kids, and given societal conditioning, parents telling you to be a certain way, act a certain way, stop making noise, stop going out there and playing, like come back in here. Like we don't necessarily understand how these things affect us, because all of a sudden, while we may want to have a certain emotion, we have this logical societal urge to suppress it. So the emotional core and really figuring out how to get in touch with that, I think that will allow so many people out there to just enjoy life. Life is not about just achievements and milestones and accomplishments. The present moment matters. You enjoying your life experience matters. And the more you can get in touch with your emotional core, the more you'll realize that you can actually be unstoppable. And people cannot affect you because you will remain grounded, which is something we're going to touch on the news and noise segment later on. But yeah, for me, this is definitely a yay. I am a significantly healthier person ever since I understood how to regulate my emotions, and ever since I understood just stress management. They all tie to this inner child work, emotional core understanding. So number 2, understanding your emotional core can help your bank account.
All right, I got this. Nay. No, I was just playing. I just want to throw
We got to get an A in there, right?
I just want to throw out a nay. I think absolutely, man. Kind of like a lot of the things that we talk about. Yay, by the way, in case it was unclear. A lot of the things we talk about puts you in alignment. And as I've kind of beat this horse, if you will, dead before is money ultimately is a derivative of energy. That's what it is. So, yeah, I'll end my answer right there. So it then becomes pretty clear as you go closer and closer to the root. You can get more of the derivatives.
Yep, agreed. It's also a yay on my side. You guys know, right? Again, can't control your money, you can't control your emotions, you can't control your money. Right? So anytime you get to that, dealing with the emotional core, dealing with how you operate. But the more you get to that place, right? Like the more you start to understand how your money is connected to your emotional being, your emotional state, how you handle things, how you think of things. So absolutely, it affects your bank account. That's a yay.
Total agreement here. There's 2 ways that this really comes up for me. One, making emotional investments rather than logical ones, and 2, emotional excess spending, delivery of comfort food, Amazon shopping sprees, like you name it. Like if you can get your emotions like settled and everything, then you can have a much better time not making just unnecessary purchases or poor investments that don't check out with the numbers. So, third one, most men understand their emotions.
Ooh, there we go. There we go. There we go. I'm gonna have to go with a nay on that. Nay, right? And maybe I'm wrong, but I think no. The nay comes from just my experience, being a man and hanging around other men. I think we don't take the time to even examine them for understanding to even be a thing. So whether it's societal, whether it's whatever the cause is, I think that's the outcome, and that it's easier to stuff it, it's easier to ignore it, it's easier to bypass it, it's easier to just not really deal with it than it is to like take a look at it. It's kind of like getting a C and not figuring out what did I get wrong so I can do better next time. It's like, C, let me put it under the bed so mama doesn't see it.
So mama doesn't see it,
All right,
or the girlfriend doesn't see it, or the kids don't see it. You know, it's a
right.
lot.
That's right. It's a little double for y'all. Shout out Jay-Z.
Say the question again, Stu. Was it
most men understand their emotions?
Understand their emotions. Kobi, you said nay on that. I think I want to lean towards nay, but I'm gonna go yay.
Oh,
I'm gonna go yay. Right?
For the record, ladies
conflict.
First conflict in the yay or nay segment of the show, which has had a grand total of 2 showings.
There we go. It's a yay. Most men, I think, do understand what they're feeling and understand their emotions. They might not know how to articulate it, explain it, know where it comes from. But I believe that a man knows, when you're feeling something, your emotions. You just might not know how to explain it. So do they understand it? I think absolutely. I think we do understand it. I think you two understand it. I think any man that's listening to this understands that feeling, that emotion that they're feeling. They just might not know how to categorize it, where it came from, how it got there, maybe how to properly label it. Maybe this is just a thing of words, right? But I think we understand it.
I welcome this conflict. If I may real quick, Mr. Mouzon.
Let's go.
Mr. Mouzon. Right?
Go.
I don't understand why I'm suddenly feeling so competitive, right? I don't understand it. Okay. All right.
Get the question out.
Answer the question, jerk. All right. So listen, I think knowing that you are feeling a particular way versus understanding it are two different things. And I'm gonna end it right there. I'm gonna serve that back into your court.
Where is that line? What is understanding versus knowing? Is that what we're debating? What's knowing versus understanding?
It seems to me like the disagreement here is absolutely the definition of understanding.
Right.
Is understanding just knowing I'm feeling this emotion? Or is understanding knowing to the level of detail, I am having this emotion because of this reason, and I can articulate it.
Right. That's a different level. That's not my definition of understanding. Mine is the first.
Maybe I have higher standards, sir.
I think you're right. If we were to look at just knowing that you're experiencing an emotion and what it is, I'd probably put that at 101. I'd probably put the 202 at knowing why you're having that emotion, and I'd put the 303 at articulating it.
That's fair.
So for me, I'm talking 303 level, and I'm giving this a big fat nay because of now. Obviously,
like I just won that round.
Hey, we're not picking favorites, but
with the clarification of the 101, I was just thinking on the 101 level for all the men out there. That's all. You're thinking of the 303. We're both right. 2 winners.
I think we're gonna have to start a little upvote, downvote.
Yeah. Let's get it sounds like you're in favor of giving the kids a completion medal You know what I mean? We don't do that over here. Yeah,
No
not everybody wins
participation.
over here.
No participation trophies. None
Nah,
of them.
none of that.
The Good Life does not approve of participation trophies.
Not at
Nah,
all.
nah.
Not at all.
So here's my thing on this. I say nay. Most men do not actually understand their emotions, because I do take it to the 303 because I think it's so important and I think it gets so overlooked by the male community, at least from what I've experienced. Now I may be biased. I mean, I'm certainly biased, but I have a small sample size of all the men across the world that I know. Are they a lot of military? A lot of probably athletic minded more so, and then also construction personnel. Now, theoretically, these are more stereotypically, like man's man. Like they don't necessarily embody the feminine nature and the emotional side of their aspects. However, for any man that wants to have a family, that wants to be able to raise healthy children, that wants to be able to enjoy life, I would highly recommend you invest some time and energy into checking out your emotional intelligence, because 101 level, knowing what it is, 202 level, knowing why you're experiencing it, and 303 being able to articulate it, that will allow you to show up in the world to a much, much greater potential.
I appreciate you breaking that down, man. All I could think of when you were saying that is a Wrangler jeans commercial and a Ford F-150 commercial as you were describing those.
Country music, probably an old computer, a blonde.
Man, my jeans never fit too tight.
I keep my bootstraps holding up everything. Now. Well,
man.
I think
I like country music, by the way.
Yeah, I'm actually not going to the country music festival down the road, and I'm kind of upset about it.
That would be a good time. That'd be a good.
It would be. I went in November, but it's all good. I'll have to wait. Unless somebody's check this out. I need tickets. Anybody, help me out. All right, last one. Most men can understand and support the emotional needs of their partners.
Most. Wow. Most is a strong word, and maybe this will come down to definition again. Not calling out anybody out here.
It just might. It just might.
But yeah, so I do not believe that most, which I would identify as over 51% of the male population, know how to identify and support their partner's emotional needs. I do not believe so. And again, I think it comes down to the boxes that we're put in to, being allowed to practice those things. If we look at studies with, females growing up and males growing up, I think it's just not something we're well versed in and taught and allowed to deal in. So no, I think maybe over time we learn as we last with partners, but I also think that's besides money and maybe politics or religion. I think that's something that shows up quite a bit in relationships, is being able to do that. And yeah, so that would be a nay from me.
Give me so many practice opportunities for this. I'll be the best horse caller.
Again, the question is, do most men know how to emotionally support their partners? Right?
Correct.
I'm gonna hit him with a yay again.
Wow.
Let's go.
All right. What's the one?
Wow.
Listen, here's why. Here's why it's a yay. And this one I think is a good one. It's because every man, we're talking males, right? We're talking men, right? Every man, majority, raised by a woman to some degree, right? For the most part. Can't say every man, right? But for the most part, had a woman in their life, some type of feminine support or energy, right? Which means we're actually very in tune with understanding how to support someone that is our partner that goes through those things. I blame it on the partners. The partners don't make it easy for the man to know how to emotionally support them, right? It's a two-way street, right?
All right, listen.
We know how to, because we've had to prove that. Talk about inner child work, right? Like we've proven that as children, as adolescents, like men, like boys normally take care of a female somewhere in their experience of growing up. So we get it emotionally. We get it. Don't let society tell you different, man. You get it. Here's the issue though. The person that you're with might not know how they need to be supported emotionally or need to be loved emotionally. So you're trying to figure out this dance of what's happening and how it works. But we do inherently, most men do inherently know, my opinion, that they actually can support them. Otherwise, they wouldn't get married or be in a long-term relationship if you didn't think you could emotionally support somebody.
Kobi, response goes to you. 2 minutes.
The Good Life Show does not endorse the response of Mr. Mouzon over there. He stands on an island by himself. To all our female listeners, we do not endorse this response. You about to get us in trouble. You about to get us in trouble.
That is a valid viewpoint.
It is a valid viewpoint.
You about to get us in trouble. Listen, you are allowed. We support all opinions on here, but I do not stand with you, sir. Not in this one. I just don't understand. I just don't think, as the theme of the show being, and this is where I got you right here. Okay. The theme of the show oftentimes comes down to being 100% responsible and what? Ownership. So as the person in the relationship, I take ownership and responsibility for how this is turning out. I'm not tossing it over there, right? I'm not throwing it over there. Oh, I got it right, but it's your fault that this ain't going right. You don't know what you want. No. I'm 100% responsible for this. So I need to figure out what it is that you don't even know, right? I take responsibility.
So you think us men are just not that tapped in to our emotional core, to the needs of our partner? You think we're just not locked in, like we're just not there? What are we missing?
No. See, this is where you and I, that's not necessarily what I'm saying. Where you and I part ways is tossing the responsibility over there, right? I think the responsibility in the relationship is mine. So if it's not working right, I can't control what you're doing, right? I can't control what you got to figure out. You may not know. That's fine. But I take ownership for that. I take responsibility for that. Right? I'm not going to say, hey, listen, you don't know what you want, so it's your fault. No, not on this show. Not in this house. I'm 100% responsible. I take it on me, right, to figure it out. So that's it. That's just where you and I part ways. You know what I'm saying? Where you and I part ways. You know,
for the sake of the argument, I understand it. Because we do take ownership, right? You got me on that point, because we do take ownership. But for the sake of the argument,
Kobi, go for the kill. You got him on his
heels.
Yeah, I got
it. Move on. You're not supposed to let the person get killed. That's not the way it works. You're supposed to come in and wave it off. Right.
Sometimes you just like watching those like train wreck videos in slow motion. No. Yeah. I think this is actually the same thing that happened last time. I think it's a bit of a 101 to 303 thing happening here as well. I was actually wondering which one of y'all would go coast to coast and like slap the other off stage, but we'll have to say that for another time. I think
that.
Yeah. I guess a virtual one is just putting that like Zoom high five up. I think my answer on this is a nay, but I'm looking at it from a 303. I think I'm probably not going to be able to pull the 101, 202, 303 out of my ass on this one, but I think the 101 level is, are you able to stand there as a man, as your partner, or as a child, or as another brother of yours is going through some type of emotion? Are you able to recognize that they have a separate emotional center than you? And can you sit there and just be present for them in their experience? That's 101. I think what's probably the 202 is helping them, like providing some type of dialogue or space where they can begin to explore that and figure that out on their own. I think 303 is few and far between, where you're actually able to help them and like really point things out that they may not have noticed of potential causes, potential different like things that you may have experienced. And one of the really powerful things about this that I want to tie back to this whole inner child work, the whole understanding your emotional core, is at the one-on-one level. If you are not able to understand your own emotions, it is very difficult to experience high intensity emotions around you without being stirred. So this part is key, because otherwise if she's pissed, you might get pissed. Well, damn, that's not going to help anybody. And that goes for the lady too. Like you said, Chris, it is a two-way street. I'll give you that. You said two-way street. He didn't deflect all the ownership there. He said two-way street. Like being able to understand that if both people get to a high emotional place, it is very difficult to come to an understanding and help figure things out. So the 202 level, like just being able to help them identify what they're experiencing, and 303, help them find like the why and the solution. So I want to go with Nay, but I also did not grow up and don't currently live with a group of, what is it, Chris, 4 women?
3 women and a growing woman.
Okay, go 3.1.
Right.
Yeah, but I think we all came from different upbringings, and I think for me personally, based on most of the men that I've encountered, and as well as a lot of the feedback I've gotten from either female clients or just women that I know in my various spheres, they don't feel like men can support them in that way. But I will say, to tie this back to the ownership piece, I do think there's a lot of women out there that try and think that men should have all the responsibility. If there's a man around, he ought to know how to keep me regulated. Ladies, you got to figure that out for yourself as well. So any final comments?
Yes. If we both take ownership, I think that's the best way to free ourselves within the relationship. And I love this definition of specifically marriage that I kind of hold dear, is that 2 individuals coming together to free each other from societal expectations, and to allow each other to be their most complete and their most free self within the confines of the relationship, to feel safe. So I say I'm 100% responsible. Bars. I say I'm 100% responsible, knowing that my partner also feels the same way. So it's kind of like one of those trust fall situations where if you lean 4 people and you lean back, we're all going to be sitting in a chair type of situation, because everybody takes it. It's a team situation. Right? We're not pointing fingers. Right? We're not pointing fingers, but we are taking responsibility, even when we know it's not necessarily our fault, right? Even though when we know it's not necessarily our fault. And I think that mentality makes a big difference in a household, in a team, and in relationships.
Man, absolutely. Those are some bars too.
Bars.
For real. Man, this was a great conversation in general. The thing that I didn't get a chance to touch on that I just want to circle back to is that being able to pour out your emotions piece. We touched on that at the very beginning of this thing. I just want to cycle back around to that because that's such an important thing for men in general, right? Yeah, we're debating, right, whether or not, right, men can support, but like in general, just knowing men's health, like emotional health is important, and being able to let out those emotions and cry and yell or scream or like whatever needs to get out is such an important like tool for us to continue to use. And if you understand how to do that, I think over time it helps you connect with your partner or the people around you, because you're more tapped into understanding how to let your emotions go and what that feels like. So it really is that work that we do on ourselves that allows us to do all the connecting with other people as well.
100%. 100%. You got to start inside and go out, right? If you imagine circles within circles within circles, you start with the inner circle, fill that cup, let it overflow, and it's most certainly going to go into the next cup for sure. So I agree with that 100%, bro. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think the mental health piece is so key here. One thing that came up for me as you were mentioning that is There are so many quote unquote nice guys that never show their emotions, and they have been trained for whatever reason to suppress it, or maybe their emotions aren't important, or maybe they're not validated. Gentlemen, if you want to really connect with a woman, you have to show your emotions at some level. You have to emotionally connect with her. Like it's important. It's a balancing act. You can't go full crazy, but like for all those people out there that are struggling to actually like find their voice and speak from their chest and get hype and actually like just live your life without the shame associated with somebody actually coming in and viewing your emotions, like this is extremely important because you may be repressing key parts of yourself your entire life. So my challenge to you is, why don't you try to do some of this work? Why don't you try to put it out there? Because if you don't try, how will you ever know if it's for you? So I think, so final segment, and we'll have to do this quickly as we're approaching the end of the hour here. News or noise? Now, we've all heard about it. The Oscar situation where Chris Rock made a joke about Will Smith's wife. Will Smith goes up, smacks him in the face. So I'm curious, fellas, in let's do 30, 45 seconds or so. Is this news or noise, and why?
I will go with news for the specific reason that I think it really, for me, highlighted, wow, I'm not sure how I would behave in that situation. And it allowed me to look into someone else's situation and kind of make up my mind that, you know what, maybe I would be worked up in that moment, but is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? And that was the question I kind of walked away with. Is it really worth it for me to behave in that way? And what would I gain in behaving that way? Although my tendency would probably be to lean that way, right? But when I get to see somebody else go through it, has me thinking, I'm not really sure that's how I want to represent myself in public, and I'm not really sure what that does for me in my relationship. But you know, everybody has the right to make some mistakes.
Yeah, got it. I would say it's also news, but we're gonna learn something, I think, with all these segments. I'm a contrarian at nature, right? So like whatever somebody says, I'll probably go the opposite, whether I believe it or not. No, I'm joking. But on this one though, I really think it's noise. Actually, I think it's noise. We were talking about it beforehand. I made a joke with my wife when the news noise right first came out, and I was like, man, why are we paying attention to this? People slap people on the street every day, right? Like, and I said it like very jokingly, but it's also very true, right? Like somebody today brushed somebody on a New York subway, and somebody got slapped. And so there was a scuffle, and somebody
was it a Philadelphia subway?
I'm just saying, somewhere around the world, we can name any major city that actually happened, right? And it was possibly for less than talking about the wife. But however, because this was people that we're supposed to care about in society, right? Hollywood and entertainers, then it becomes news. But if you want my true opinion, and my true take is, this is just noise. This is like things that we don't really know anything about, and we can all have a take and an opinion on it. But in general, I think it's noise.
So for me, I think I got to agree with both you guys on this one. My final answer is news for the same reason as Kobi's. This is a massive learning moment into what I might do under a serious amount of pressure, the whole world watching. I would not have reacted the same way. I'm 99% certain of that, but I don't know. But I think most of the world sees this as noise. I hope they do. Like, yes, you can learn from it, but paying attention to all these celebrities and stuff, man, this can just distract you from so many other things you have going on. So unless you're willing to like use this as a learning moment for you and how you want to respond to someone saying something about your partner, yeah, I would say for the most of the world, they probably could view this as noise unless they're willing to go deeper and view this as news and learn from it. Because news is supposed to inform us, supposed to. So I think that this may be a good example of that. But all right, cool. One thing, inner child work, understanding your emotional core may prevent you from overreacting in a situation like this. Quick plug. I wanted to spend more time on that, but we don't have it. So giveaways, takeaways, rapid fire. Chris, Kobi, what you got?
Take away this emotional core. We just have to pay more attention, right? We have to get more connected. We have to do more of this work. Journaling was my takeaway. Those of you that were paying attention in the show, right? Something I will implement by habit stacking. Thank you, Kobi, because I'm, 78 days in a row in my Bible app every morning, right? So right behind that is going to come journaling. And again, that's how we put these good habits in place. So that was the takeaway today, guys.
Yeah, I was, so a giveaway for me would be to tap in and my free journaling program. If you are looking for a way to get started, you can message me and get you on there, get you going.
So I've got a giveaway as well. For me, I do free consultations. Anybody that is looking to understand how they may use inner child work or just go about any way of understanding their emotional intelligence so they can show up as more grounded individuals, especially men, or show up in a way to better support the emotional needs of their partners, hit me up. I take these free consultations very seriously. I often go over on the time. It is my intent to give you as much value as possible. So if you don't want to work in a one-on-one format, if you're not ready for that, I'll make sure you have something to walk away with. If you do want to work with somebody and actually understand this over a period of time, I do have 3 and 6 months offerings that I'd be happy to do. I'm actually also considering a group workshop, but I need to hear about the support and the desire to do that because that's not typical for me. But that's my giveaway for today. I want to thank both of you guys for showing up, having some contradictory answers. I love it. And for all the men and women out there, your emotional intelligence, I would like it to be a priority for you because this is your life. This is your time. You deserve to enjoy every single moment that you have on this planet to the best of your ability. So
love it. Love it.
Who's got the conclusion for today?
That's it. That's it for us today, guys. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, smash that like button. Tune in next Monday for another good episode. And make sure, please share this episode with somebody, whether they hate it or love it, because all press is good press. And until next time, keep living a good life. And we out of here, baby.
Welcome to the good life.